Hello there, welcome to NTV English News Bulletin. I am Bhavana Casey. In the beginning, we have the headlines. Supreme Court's full bench to hear the case against Kosi Province Chief Minister Thapa, hearing to decide the eligibility of the vote of confidence. Russia attacks Ukraine's grain ports ahead of Putin-Erdogan talks. Ukraine's Air Force urges residents of Izmail port to seek a shelter. ILO warns the future of millions of children at risk as more pulled out of school and pushed into labor, demands an urgent action. Nepal playing against cricket giant India today in its second match of the Asia Cup cricket. Women's team secures berth in semi-finals of T20 Asia qualifiers. Welcome back. You are with NTV English News Bulletin. Now we have the news in details. The case against the Chief Minister of Kosi Province Uddhav Thapa in the Supreme Court is going to be heard in a full bench today. A joint bench of Justices Sapana Pradhan Malla and Sushma Lata Mathema decided to send the case to the full bench. A writ petition filed claiming that the method adopted by Chief Minister Thapa in taking the vote of confidence was unconstitutional was fixed for hearing. Earlier on August the 15th, the joint bench of Judge Iswar Prasad Oda and Sushma Lata Mathema had fixed the case, but the hearing was not held. The meeting of House of Representatives has been scheduled for 1 p.m. today. Question and answer session pertaining to issues related with the Office of the Prime Minister and Council of Ministers, Ministry of Law, Justice and Parliamentary Affairs and Ministry of Education, Science and Technology is scheduled for today. In today's meeting, Speaker Devraj Ghimire will present a proposal to decide the bill designed to amend some Nepal Acts 2080 as stated by Parliament's Secretariat. The cases of scrub typhus, a mite-borne bacterial infection, is on a constant rise in Kanchanpur district, with 88 cases recorded since mid-July in the district. Doctors at the district hospital in Kanchanpur have warned the locals to stay alert and aware of the increase in the scrub typhus cases. In the past 1 week, the district hospital has been receiving around 4 scrub typhus cases on a daily basis. Scrub typhus is an infectious disease that is caused by a mite-borne bacterium and spreads in the human body after they are bitten by infected larval mites found in mice. With this update, time to go for a short break, but still to come, we have. Welcome back. Now to more updates, and let's have the latest from the international front. Russia has launched an air attack on one of the Ukraine's biggest grain exporting ports hours before Russian President Vladimir Putin and his Turkish counterpart Recep Tayyip Erdogan are due to hold talks. The attack came as Putin and Erdogan were to meet in the Russian Black Sea resort of Sochi to hold talks on a Ukrainian grain export deal that helped ease a food crisis in the parts of Africa, the Middle East and Asia. The deal brokered by the United Nations and Turkey in July 2022 had allowed nearly 33 million metric tons of grain and other commodities to leave through Ukrainian ports despite the Russian invasion. But Moscow quit the agreement about 6 weeks ago, complaining that its food and fertilizer exports faced obstacles and that not enough Ukrainian grain was going to countries in need. U.S. Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo has warned China in a TV interview that the patience of U.S. business was wearing thin, saying American companies deserved a predictable environment and a level playing field. The two biggest economies in the world used to be each other's largest trade partners, but Washington now trades more with neighboring Canada and Mexico, while Beijing trades more with Southeast Asia. While in China recently, Raimondo had said there was a strong appetite among U.S. businesses details to make the relationship work, and that while some actions of the Chinese government are positive, the situation on the ground needed to match the rhetoric. Raimondo, during a TV interview, said U.S. companies face new challenges, among them unexplained large fines, rates on businesses, and changes to the law. More than 40 people were injured in Taiwan after Typhoon Haikui ripped across the island, uprooting trees and forcing thousands to evacuate. The storm, which made landfall on Sunday on the east coast, was the first to directly hit the island in 4 years. Amid torrential rain and high winds, 2 people in mountainous region were hurt after falling tree hit a car. Dozens others were injured, mainly by falling debris. On Monday, cleanup crews were working on restoring services after 160,000 homes lost power on Sunday. More updates lined up on the other side, but before that, let's have the highlights first. Welcome back. You're with NTV English News Bulletin. Now to more updates from the international front. The future of millions of children is at risk as growing numbers are pulled out of school and into work, the head of United Nations Labour Body had said. BBC, quoting Gilbert Hongwo, Director General of the International Labour Organization ILO, said there had been a regression in reasons around the world amid global economic problems. Some of the worst forms of work involved sexual exploitation. Hongwo said urgent action was needed. He added the COVID effect, compounded with the rise in inflation and the cost of living that followed, had just made the things worse. Data compiled by the UN in early 2020 found that some 160 million children were being subjected to child labor, and that global progress to end it had stalled for the first time in 20 years. India has stepped up the use of coal to generate electricity in a bid to stop outages caused by the lower hydroelectricity output, as an increase in renewables is struggling to keep pace with record power demand. It is unusual for India's electricity use to spike in August when temperatures are lower due to the annual monsoon that runs between June and September. Demand typically peaks in May when Indians crank up air conditioners to beat the heat and industries operate without rain-related disruptions. However, the driest August in more than a century has resulted in power generation surging to a record 162.7 billion kilowatt hours. The government has repeatedly defended the use of coal, citing lower per capita emissions compared with richer nations and rising renewable energy output. More updates lined up on the other side, but before that, let's have the highlights first. Now to sports. Nepal and India are vying in today's match of Asia Cup cricket tournament. Nepal has an opportunity to create history once again in the match. If they can defeat India today, Nepal will reach the Super 4. After about 27 years of playing the international cricket, Nepal got this chance to play India for the first time. The match between the two teams will start at 3:45 p.m. at the Palikhele International Cricket Stadium in Sri Lanka. Pakistan is at the top of the position with 3 points after winning 1 match and sharing 1 point in 2 matches, while India has 1 point and Nepal has no points. Nepal played the inaugural match of the tournament on August 31st against Pakistan. India countered Babar Azam's side in their season opener on Saturday. With one more game left to play in Group A, Nepal has solidified their place in the semi-finals. Qatar, after losing the task, was asked to bat first in the match held under the T20 Asia qualifiers in Malaysia. Sachi Dadwal was the top scorer for Qatar with 21 runs off 44 balls, including 1 boundary. Alina Khan contributed 15 runs for Qatar. Meanwhile, in pursuit of Meanwhile, in pursuit of reaching the target of 75 runs, Nepal displayed a dominant performance, losing just 1 wicket in 10.3 overs. Unbeaten Nepal earlier defeated Malaysia by 5 runs in its first match, Bahrain by 10 wickets in the second match, and Bhutan by 3 wickets in the third match. The top 2 teams will earn a spot in the ICC Women's T20 Global Qualifiers 2024. Now to the updates from US Open. Novak Djokovic enjoyed a smooth passes into the US Open quarterfinals as he won in straight sets to end Croatian qualifier Borna Gozo's surprise run. Second-seeded Djokovic continued his beat for a record-equaling 24th major title with a 6-2, 7-5, 6-4 win in New York. The 36-year-old Serb will play 9-seed Taylor Fritz, who is one of 3 American mains in the quarterfinals. Meanwhile, in women's draw, Iga Swiatek's defense of the US Open title was ended by an inspired performance from the Hughes-hitting Elena Ostapenko in the last 16. Polish top seed Swiatek lost 3-6, 6-3 and 6-1 to Latvian 20th seed Ostapenko. Ostapenko, who won her sole major at 2017 French Open, will face American 6th seed Coco Gauff the next. With this update, we come to the end of this English News Bulletin. But before we say goodbye, let's have a quick reminder of the major stories. Supreme Court's full bench to hear the case against Kosi Province Chief Minister Thapa, hearing to decide the eligibility of Thapa's vote of confidence. Russia attacks Ukraine's grain ports ahead of Putin-Erdogan talks. Ukraine's Air Force urges residents of Izmail port to seek shelter. ILO warns a future of millions of children at risk as more pulled out of school and pushed into labor, demands an urgent action. And Nepal playing against India today in its second match of the Asia Cup Cricket. Women's team secure spot in the semi-finals of the T20 Asia qualifiers. Well, that's all we have in this edition of English News Bulletin. We'll see you again with next round of English Bulletin at 6 in the evening. Till then, have a great time ahead and do stay tuned with us to catch the latest news updates and other programs. Namaste.